You are about to witness history in the making. There was something missing.
Hi guys, welcome to the Pop Culture Gamers. This is part 2 of The Truth Is Out There. If you didn't listen to part 1, well, I suggest you go back and listen to it. Anyway, let's introduce yourselves. Hayden, how you doing?
I'm doing fine, thanks, Steve. How are you doing?
Yes, I'm good. Very good, actually. Been in a really good mood this weekend. Before we jump into the debate, we thought we'd just, as it's been a few days in between, we'll just do a quick intro. So, how you been doing? What you been up to?
Not an awful lot, to be quite honest. Just going to work and sweltering in the heat.
The windows here are closed. We've got one little open, but it's still not good enough.
I've got no windows open at all.
Haven't you?
No.
And I've got a pint of Cobra from last night. I had a takeaway last night, so I've got a pint of Cobra sitting here. So.
Oh, very nice.
If I become unruly, then you know the reason why.
Yeah.
But it's only 1 pint, so it shouldn't do any harm.
Yeah. No, for me, it's been one of those. Well, it's been that end of school year, but more of a important end of school year because it was my son's last week in primary school. So It goes up to the secondary school from September.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it was all doing events like that. We also had my school's 50th anniversary as well, where I'm chair of governors, so I had to go and do a speech and all of that sort of stuff that you do, in your, when you do those sort of jobs, really. So that's pretty much been my week. Other than that, I did have a member of the family who died, so I've got to go down to a funeral shortly as well. But that's my week.
Yeah.
How's your week been?
Well, we had an event we had to go to due to a passing in the family, but that's as much as I'm going to say about that. I had Friday off. Now,
yes.
I originally booked off Friday and Tuesday because I've got some hospital appointments to sort out. But Friday, it's more importantly that I was sitting there with my mouse and my PC, refreshing at 10 o'clock to buy some tickets. And I don't know if you've ever done this, but it's like you're sort of like a standby with a clock waiting for the time to tick. So what I have purchased is tickets to see John Carpenter live at London. Thank you. I think it was London Apollo. I'm not sure what it's called now, but it's the one under the underpass at Hammersmith.
Okay, yeah.
A lot of events go there and stuff. So really, out of all the people I've met and seen over the years, whether it's bands or not, or we met William Shatner, didn't we, and George Takei on that.
Yeah, we did. That was great fun.
For this, to see John Carpenter is a big thing for me because it's one of my history of movies, soundtracks, always goes back to him.
Yeah.
And at first I clicked the button on the website and it said they're all sold out and this is bang on 10 o'clock. I went, what? They can't be. So I then went to Ticketmaster, quickly logged in there and got me tickets. I don't know if the first site had the tickets and passes them on. I don't know how that works. But I nearly had an heart attack thinking, oh my God, what's going on? Because I was expecting not to get anything. And I thought, you sort of expect that you won't do it. So it's a surprise if you can get tickets. Now, this is not like it's a big band or whoever that, you got loads of dates. But I ended up getting meet and greet tickets. And what that means is I will be getting some T-shirts, posters signed by John Carpenter. I get a photograph with him. I can get some autographs done, including bringing my own stuff in to be autographed.
Oh, very good.
So that'd be freaking amazing, I think. Thing is, what do I choose? I've got about 8 albums of his for the soundtracks to the movies. But I was on eBay at the weekend, and I picked up a special 2 special editions released by Mondo in the States, and one is for his movie They Live. Yeah, which I don't know if you've seen. Have you seen that one?
No, I haven't actually.
I'll have to maybe try and pass you a copy on. That's where if you wear the glasses, you see the aliens.
Oh yes, I have seen that one. Yeah, I remember it now. Because there's a portal, isn't there, underground or something?
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Or in a building. Yeah, I remember it now.
So I've got that one, and also I've got the Mondo's. No, actually, no, it's not Mondo. Sorry, it's Death Waltz, the company Death Waltz, and it's Escape from New York in orange vinyl.
Nice.
So I've got those cheap on eBay. So that was I did them. I was right. I don't know if you go on there much, but I was bidding at the last second.
Yeah.
I was watching it all weekend, and I thought I'm not going to touch it till at least a minute before the time's up. And I come up trumps with both of those.
Mm.
So it's been a bit of a John Carpenter weekend for me.
It certainly sounds like it.
Doesn't it? Oh mate, I can't wait. Anyway, so I'm looking to book a hotel now for the for that night in October.
Mm.
Unfortunately, it's not the 31st when we're going to see him. He'll be back in the States then.
Yeah.
We'll be mid-October. So that's close enough to Halloween. That's good enough by my standards.
Yeah, close enough.
Yeah.
Close enough.
But that's really been it for me. I'm just looking forward to have Tuesday off. It's the wife's birthday, so I've got a few things planned for her. So, yeah. All the duties being done and boxes ticked in that case.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's all right then. As long as your duties are done.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention, by the way, I mentioned at part 1 of the show that we'd been invited, or I was looking to attend this podcasting.
That's right,
thing in Edinburgh. Yeah, well, I've been confirmed. I'm going to go.
Oh, you have? Well done.
I'm going to be on the panel as well as a guest.
Will it be on YouTube or anything?
I don't know, but you can get tickets from Eventbrite. It's Podcasting 101, and it's on the 17th of October at 5:30 till 10. So
17th. Oh, that's the day after the John Carpenter show.
Oh, there we go.
Funny enough. So yeah, it should be pretty cool. That
I think it will be as well. I mean, it'll do the show good. So
yeah, absolutely. That'd be should be blinding. Anyway, should we move headlong into this sort of debate, which I don't even know where it's going to go, to be honest.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting one actually, because this is one I could really nerd out on.
Right, okay. So would you
we've approached it in very different ways.
Well, I've just put 2 little things that could be real, or a spin on the reality.
Okay.
So, do you want to start the ball running? Could you put a big long piece here on this, and we can bring some other bits and pieces in as we go through it. From what I'm looking at the sheet.
Yeah, no problem at all. So, the question about whether or not there are aliens in the universe. First of all, shall we say whether or not we believe that there are or not?
We could do.
Because I think that's going to come out naturally anyway, before we even get to the end of the conversation. So,
yeah, I'd like to. I put it this way: I'd like to think what's the phrase? We are not alone.
Yeah, yeah. So is that what you believe, or?
That's what I would believe is a difficult word to use. That's what I assume.
Yeah,
believe is like believing in God, but then again, we're not going to bring into creation and all of that, because then because this is not talking about God this time, is it? If you know what I mean, because you can have a little bit of a spin on that with the same thing, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
But I'd like to think we are alone, and sorry, we are alone. No, we are not alone.
Yeah.
It's a big expanse out there, and we just appear pinned on the universe and further on.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Do you agree with me, or?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I think human beings turning around and saying that life only has ever existed on this planet when there are 100 billion suns in our galaxy, of which there are hundreds of billions of planets orbiting them, of which there will be millions and millions and millions within the Goldilocks zone, as it's called, of the star. So the Goldilocks zone is the point in the orbit of the star where it's not too hot and it's not too cold, and that is actually what they call it, is the Goldilocks zone. So it's where, if there was a planet there, it's possible for liquid water to exist.
Well, when we say that there's not life on other planets, that doesn't necessarily mean they're human.
Well, I'm not saying human.
No, what I'm saying is, I'm just saying, because if they're saying now that there's possibility of life on Mars, but that's at the stage of bacteria. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. So I think one of the fundamental questions is, what are you defining as life? Are you defining as something that is self-replicating? Because a plant is life. You know, your grass is life. So an insect is life. An alligator is life. A dog is life. A human is life. But we're all different sort of points in, you know, in that curve of what life is. You know, plants, as far as we're aware, are not aware of anything. They're, you know, although some scientists believe that they are, because if you, for example, you try cutting a tree, or if you cut a tree, it releases chemicals into the air which notifies other trees. It's not like they then get up and run off, but, you know.
You imagine just popping their roots up and going, you're getting out of here, mate.
Yeah, exactly. Lumberjacks would have a heck of a more difficult job, wouldn't they?
Yeah, but it's like that some people will be led to believe if they've got plants in their house and they play classical music, they grow better compared to playing something that's a bit rowdy and you know, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and other people who believe that they grow better if they talk to them, which actually is more scientifically sound, because plants inhale carbon dioxide and exhale oxygen. So by talking to them, you're actually feeding them the gases that they need. So that kind of makes sense. But playing music, I don't know about that, to be honest. But when you think about it, you know, like things like plants are absolutely amazing, because a flower will always turn to the direction of where the strongest light's coming from, because it wants the sun. So there is obviously either like a conscious or a subconscious thought there. So let's, you know, if we say, is there life out there? I can't see how this little rock that we're on, in a massive, unimaginable magnitude of space, cannot have life somewhere else. I think it's extreme human arrogance to say that we're the only place that life will ever exist. At the end of the day, life is being generated, so far as we know, although there is the creationalist sort of point of view that is different, and the religious point of view.
Well, that's right. You do talk about Darwin there on what his thoughts are.
But we're a result of a number of different chemical reactions. So, you know, because that's what's eventually generated life. So, as far as we're aware, now, obviously, there's a whole thing of, well, you know, the creationism and there's a God and whatever. And it could be, as far as we know, because the way that I always look at it is, it's a bit like when, if, let's say that you're a conscious puddle, yeah? When you're a puddle, your environment, the hole that you're in, is perfectly formed to you, like this planet is to humans, yeah? And when we evaporate a bit, it's still perfectly formed to us, you know, but we just got a little bit more space. So, you know, as far as that puddle will go, right up until the moment that it just evaporates completely, its environment is perfectly formed to it, because it fell into the environment, but it wasn't aware of that. It was just there. And I think that for us, saying that, you know, that the type of life that we are has evolved not because of a design, but because of this is just where it is. And there is even some theories that actually we're not Earthlings, we're actually Martians, and that life originated in Mars when Mars had an atmosphere, and some scientists think that Mars was a much more hospitable place at first, and then due to some natural reaction or whatever, life was somehow transported, across the solar system to Earth, and we were transplanted there, by a high impact that hurled rocks out into space. Some happened to land on Earth, and some of those had bacteria on them. That's one theory about how life evolved on this planet. So, which is interesting. So we're actually the aliens. But
that's that's a point of view as well between everything, isn't it? Yeah.
It is. But the more that I was never really interested in science that much at school, but since leaving school, I've really been interested in science, and particularly astronomy, planetology, all of that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And the question around life, for a start off, we have to define what do we mean by life. Do we mean just anything that we would think of as alive, like a bacteria or like a plant or whatever? Or do we mean sentient life? Now, in terms of sentient life, that's harder to evolve because bacteria doesn't have the chemical requirements that more complex life requires.
Mm.
So therefore, it's easier to evolve. It can evolve in more places. It's whether or not there has been the time, the opportunity, the right environment for that to develop into more advanced forms of life, or what we would consider to be more advanced forms of life. But the question all lies around what's known as the Fermi paradox.
Mm.
Have you heard of this?
Don't think so.
So it's a theory used by scientists to predict life beyond our own planet. Mm. And the problem is that there are a number of different answers to the Fermi paradox. And it's one of those things if you can actually tailor it to suit your needs, as it were, because nobody really knows the answer.
Well, that's because that's what science is like, full stop. It's there for your needs and other people's needs, and you can twist and turn that in any shape you want that can give you the right answer or the wrong answer. Yeah,
exactly. So that's the Fermi paradox, and I'll go through. We'll talk about some of the theories about what there are, what that can kick out. But the other thing is something called the Drake equation. Have you heard of this one?
Nothing to do with Drake the Explorer?
No, it's nothing to do with Uncharted and Nathan Drake or Drake the Explorer. No, basically, a scientist whose name was Drake, developed a formula to predict the number of sentient races that there would be out there in our galaxy at any one given time, based on the best knowledge it possibly have. And it's quite scientific. It looks at the rate of star formation, the fraction of the number of stars with planetary systems, which we're only just getting to know that now because of, all of the science that's going on about identifying exoplanets. The number of times planets where life has arisen, the times the ways that we could detect the average length of time that an advanced civilization could be around for, which then starts to go back to the Fermi paradox about life as well. So while some pessimistic points of view tend to put that as life is very, very rare, which it might well be, the Drake equation estimates that there are about 10,000 civilizations present that would basically mean, at any one time, which would basically mean that you would have to search about 10 million stars to find one civilization.
Mm.
So that's quite rare if that formula is correct. But nevertheless, that's still 10,000 in our galaxy. And that's not the universe, that's one galaxy among millions of galaxies.
Mm.
So the universe could be teeming with life for all we know. But the point is, unless we know of a way to detect it, we're not going to be able to, are we? That's the problem.
Yeah. And that's where Voyager come into play.
Yeah.
And why I was talking about Star Trek earlier, as you're well aware, that in Star Trek, the Voyager that they sent out to let people know that we exist bounced back off aliens and took a curveball that was coming back to its creator, but therefore it was trying to meld with it, should we say, join with the creator. So
Yeah,
it might be a bit deep, but from the movie point of view, but it's ironic that the records that they put out there on Voyager, is it Voyager 6? I'm trying to remember now which one it was.
I can't remember the numbers, to be honest, but there was 2 Voyagers, wasn't there?
Yeah. So the fiction one was Voyager 6 in Star Trek. But they've just released recently the discs on vinyl that they sent up with Voyager that they kept playing over and over again, ironically. And just thinking of a little starship of that tiny magnitude being sent off just to hurl itself into space,
into interstellar space.
Yeah, I mean, it could end up in a black hole for all we know.
Eventually, well, in theory, eventually it probably will. But, because if it's infinite, eventually you're going to hit a black hole, surely.
Yeah.
But it is really quite fascinating in terms of that whole thing, because the disc that you're on about, it was a golden disc.
That's right.
That had a solar system map, and it was actually classifying Pluto as a planet then.
Yes.
Because that's now a dwarf planet.
Yeah.
But that was stuck on the Voyager space probe, and it had recordings of, like, for example, different greetings in different languages and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But also SETI, the Search for Extraterrestrial Intelligence, also sent out a signal to what they thought was a likely, star
source
that might harbour life. And obviously SETI now, they search the heavens for signals. But this is one of the things that comes into the Fermi paradox, is we're assuming that they're using radio signals to communicate. And, the way to think about it is for all we know, aliens might be using lasers to communicate. But if we're listening with a normal radio, we're never going to know that all those conversations are going on. Do you see what I mean? Because your radio's not going to pick up the signal. So we'd think, therefore, QED, there is no life in the universe because we can't hear them. All it is we're just not using the right means to be able to listen to them. Because you think about it, radio is probably one of the most inefficient ways of actually communicating between planets possible, because it takes, anywhere from hours to centuries or millennia to get there, depending upon where it's communicating between. So, for example, but everything's limited by the speed of light. Even light is wrong, because light has a finite speed. And supposedly you'll not be able to go beyond that. That's Einstein's theory of relativity. So, there's supposed to be a galactic speed limit, which Star Trek gets around by doing warp and stuff like that. And scientists, Stephen Hawking, he was working on that before he died.
That's why the idea of us getting signals, we might get signals but don't understand those signals as well. So it works both ways, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, also think about it. It might be very difficult to differentiate a signal that's not analog, from a digital signal, because that might just end up looking like background information.
I mean, the way that movies have portrayed stuff over the time using binary and different radio signals, like I think Independence Day comes to mind, using the satellites to bounce his signal around, which ended up being a countdown signal which started their invasion.
To be honest, I thought that was one of the weakest parts of the movie, because they wouldn't need to do their own, because surely they could have just sent out their own probe, which could have probably handled much better information than our satellites could have done.
Yeah.
Just for the simple reason that they are clearly much more advanced than us, by the fact that, they got here because we couldn't get to the nearest star system.
We're still stuck trying to get to Mars at the minute, let alone anywhere
else. We're still stuck trying to get to the moon. We haven't been to the moon for 50 years?
I think they're bored of the moon. They want to try somewhere else.
Well, They're on about, but if you want to do the Elon Musk sort of thing, he can get you to Mars, but he just won't bring you back. Evidently.
Well, again, it's for us, it's space travel that is a letdown anyway.
Yeah. I mean, personally, I don't think, while I love Star Wars and I love Star Trek, I don't think that the universe is like that. I just the whole thing.
It's a bit more boring, probably, to a certain degree, isn't it?
Yeah. I think it is. I think it's much more understated. I just don't think that it's in any way, shape, or form anywhere like what that what Star Trek portrays it as. It'd be fantastic if it did in some ways, and in other ways it'd be horrifying. But yeah, I just don't think in reality that it will ever be like that.
We will never know, though.
I don't think we'll ever know in our lifetime.
No.
In a matter of fact, I'm not even sure. I don't know about you, but would you actually want to know? And if you did, in what way would you want to know? Because there is nothing that I can think of being more horrifying than looking out my window, a la Independence Day or the V, and just seeing this great big massive flying saucer in the sky, and then just thinking, what is going to happen?
Yeah, because you might. I think the other end of you would probably take a bow to it,
Yeah, I mean, there'd be that whole aspect of, oh my God, this is the most awesome thing in the world and it's so exciting, to, oh my God, we're in trouble. Because whatever, it would have such a massive impact on human society. Just to know. It's one of those things of it's almost like the ultimate question, because it's so scary, the implications of knowing that you are not alone in the universe. But equally, it is so scary knowing the implications that you are alone in the universe. Whichever way you go, it's equally scary, but for different reasons.
But I think everyone could be quite happy that we are the only people in the universe, because we haven't got anything to worry about.
Apart from ourselves.
And the global warming and everything else, this planet could destruct itself in years to come, and then we wouldn't exist anymore, and that'd be it.
Yeah.
And there'd be no one then, would there?
No, there wouldn't. But I don't know whether or not it's a question I would ever want to know the answer to. I think I would rather know the answer of, we found them and they don't know that we exist, rather than anything else, because I think that would, well, it would still have a massive impact on society. I mean, for a start off, a lot of religion would have to go back and have a rethink, because if, for example, just look at Christianity, if God created man in the image of himself and we were in the Garden of Eden and then we got kicked out, well, okay, so we got kicked out and that was it. So, but there was only us and animals in there. So it's not fair for the animals who also got kicked out just because, one woman fed a man an apple. But in terms of all of that, there was no mention of any other species at all. So that implies on Earth that we're just, we're alone in the universe, that there isn't anything else, that God didn't create any other races. And if he did, when did he create them? Before us or after us? Because if it was before us, did that mean something went wrong and he tried it again? Or if it was after us, is that because he was trying to achieve what we didn't turn out to be? Do you know what I mean? So either way, it raises interesting theological questions.
Yeah, I think a lot of people probably feel that alien life is. I think we all boil down to the idea of ET. Is someone like that around? Compared to whether it's a germ or a plant base, where scientists go deeper will say that Mars can sustain life because there's water there and stuff like that. But when we talk about aliens ourselves, I think we're all on the page of whether or not we got this bug-eyed green monster running around in flying saucers that are being picked up and photographed throughout history. Do you know what I mean? And it's been, I think, an obsession for a lot of people.
Well, I mean, when you look, all of the people who report that they have been,
probed,
captured by, probed by aliens, it's like, I went to a bar, I got really, really drunk, and then I got took to this alien spacecraft that looked just like the inside of a Holiday Inn, and I got probed.
Yeah.
That's a bit, facetious, but, maybe that there are genuine things out there. Maybe that they're looking for something specific if they have managed to get here. But then again, what's to say that they're actually aliens? What's to say that they're not people from the future who are coming back in time, if it's possible, to find something that's missing in their genes that has been destroyed because of, millions of years of bad evolution, which is another possibility.
So do you think the hype over science fiction from the 40s with some of the movies that came out at the time fueled this obsession for aliens, which has probably prompted everything else from there onwards?
Well, I think it's a way that people describe it now. Whether or not that's true or not, I don't know. But in terms of, you look at history, and before, like, the H.G. Wells sort of time period, people would be saying that they were, abducted by monsters or ghosts or, evil demonic creatures and that sort of thing, rather than, I've been captured by aliens. So is it just what's in the popular culture a reference that people build this picture around what's happened to them?
Yeah, but then again, we did discuss about the books last week.
Yeah.
It was H.G. Wells and what he came out with. No one else has ever thought of that. Why was it him?
Well, there was always going to be a first, wasn't there?
Oh, I know, that's right.
But why was it him at that time?
Yeah.
When there wasn't really as much. But then again, you look at the time frame when he was about, it was really the start of a lot of science, wasn't it? So maybe it was just good luck with speculating and stuff like that. I don't know.
So what he's fueled has progressed ever since.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Well, it's possible. It's certainly possible.
And I always go back to Roswell as a starting point, because I think that always comes up in a debate about aliens, whether they're true or not. Because is this a debunked idea, or is this something that the government are covering up? Because they were saying that it was probably an air balloon and all that. No, don't be stupid. There's nothing else other than that. And this has grown through the 70s, and there's these ufologists that seem to believe that there's a conspiracy theory there, and that there's maybe one or two spacecraft that crash landed, and these extraterrestrial occupants have been, recovered by the military and all this. So it's interesting, though.
Well,
I love the idea of conspiracy theories because it gets something to grab hold of.
It does. It does. And plus the fact we never trust the government. So.
No, don't be stupid.
But, to be honest, I think that there are just some, like, the Men in Black exist. Well, we know that they have, certainly.
Well, they're always running around the president looking after him, aren't they, the Men in Black?
Yeah, no,
with earpieces.
Like the MIB sort of,
I know.
Well, yeah.
Well, that's it. You've got the FBI and the CIA out there doing their thing for America. But whether or not there's another government within that does look out for extraterrestrials, who knows? I think, obviously, over the years where movies become more popular, and again, from the references on pop culture have grown and they've snowballed so big. But this does fuel everything. And, you like a good science fiction movie, and it comes to the point of thinking, well, could this be true? It goes on, it snowballs on. And, I think that's why a lot of people would like to think there's other life forms. You talk about Christianity. Look at Tom Cruise's bunch, believing, they believe in UFOs, don't they, and aliens? If I remember right, I might be wrong, but
yeah, to be honest, I can't remember exactly the
theories
behind
them.
Scientology, but it's something to do with the Earth was a prison planet or something or other, and that there are a lot of tortured evil souls and we have to rid ourselves of them because they try and inhabit our bodies or something. And something about, some, tablets sent down from space because you can really trust that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But there's a lot of religions. I mean, one of the things that's on a lot on TV at the moment is talking about ancient aliens and about theories that link to the fact that things like the pyramids, etc.
So I was just about to bring that myself, actually.
Yeah,
because if you're looking at the history of archaeology, and you're looking at what they brought up and what you see on these on the walls in the pyramids, it can all be presumed that may well be alien life.
Yes.
I don't
like
want
Stargate.
True, and I don't even want to point in the fourth Indiana Jones movie, but with the Incas and everything else, I don't really want to bring that one up because I don't think we should. But again, who knows?
But then again, why not? Why couldn't that maybe be true, or not that movie itself, but something along those lines? Because there are crystal skulls on the planet that nobody knows how they were ever made. And then you look at other things. We're talking about 'cause obviously you were saying before about people like H.G. Wells. Don't forget the Victorian times had some of the greatest minds ever known. Because Einstein was emerging then. Nikola Tesla, as well. What he did with electricity, no one else had ever done. He was an absolute genius, that guy. So there was a lot of, intense creativity at that time.
And you had Faraday as well.
Yes.
Who invented the Faraday cage.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, if you ever want to make sure that nobody can snoop on your electronics.
Just Google him out. He's class. He really is what he did.
Yeah. So there's all sorts of things that's just so fascinating that went on at that time, and maybe that has had a big impact on culture. I mean, you look at Nikola Tesla. Well, I bet Elon Musk wouldn't have called his cars Teslas if he didn't exist. There's an example. But just moving forward to like the late 60s, early 70s. We had the Apollo program. Yeah,
we did.
Yeah, we went to the moon. There was a big...
Apparently.
Yeah, we went to the moon.
Yeah.
We know we went to the moon because if you get a big enough telescope, you can actually see the stuff on the moon.
Yeah.
It's been filmed and with showing where the tracks were, where people have walked and stuff like that because there is no wind in space. Therefore, the tracks stay there for millions of years.
Absolutely.
So, but we sent, was it 12 or 14 people to walk on the surface of the moon, and then we stopped. Why did we stop?
Did the government run out of money?
Well, modern, a lot of theories are around the fact that Russia effectively went bankrupt, and it was. The whole point of going for the moon was it was a symbolism.
It was a race. It was a race at the time between the Russians and the Americans.
Yeah. But that was a battle between ideologies.
Yeah, East versus West, and we want to get there before you.
Yes, but with all of the science that had been done, why have we not gone back in 50-something years?
Well, the space program was started up again, but that with Reagan, wasn't it? With his administration in America, but then that all went a bit pear-shaped.
Well, I mean, I remember my 10th birthday. It was the launch of the space shuttle. Or the day after, something. It was either the day or the day after.
Which one was that? There's been many now.
Discovery was the first one. Because the first space shuttle Enterprise never actually went into space, did it? It was just a prototype.
It's in the hangar now, still, isn't it? It's still there.
Well, they're all in hangars now.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was a very first ever space shuttle launch. Because I always remember that, because I used to joke on with, well, it's a typical type of 10-year-old kid. Well, NASA have done that because I know when my birthday's.
No. But yeah,
you know what 10-year-old kids are like.
Yeah, I mean, I did love space even as a kid, and the idea of it, and seeing some of the stuff that went on then, even to the later time of when we started having the space shuttles. But yeah, I think the space program as it is now, it's probably ongoing, but we don't know what they're doing.
No, well, they're supposed to be going to the moon, aren't they? And don't forget, there is the new, President Trump's Space Force.
Yes.
Space Force.
I just imagine it being like the Orville, but...
I can just imagine it being horrible.
Yeah, but obviously the only space program that we know that is existing at the moment will be with the Mars rover and what they're doing, looking at Mars at the moment.
What about SpaceX?
Which one was that?
Well, SpaceX is a company, isn't it? But they've got a space program because it's the private thing of getting people to the moon at Mars. Yeah,
but what I'm saying is that the main thing that we're aware of, that where the British are involved with NASA.
Yeah.
Looking at Mars and whether there's life, and they got the rover out there running around.
Yeah, well, that was on the news the other day, wasn't it?
Oh, was it? I haven't seen the news recently.
Yeah, it was. Because we did have one that went before and it crashed.
Yeah,
or at least it landed and it wasn't retrievable.
Yeah.
But there is, the two Mars rovers anyway, isn't there?
Mm.
And it's amazing how that they can keep those things going well beyond their existing life. And talking about the Voyager space probes, they're still going, and they're now in interstellar space, or one of them is.
Yeah.
And, they did a turn round and a picture of the Earth, didn't they, in relation to our sun, and we were just like literally a dot, like 1 pixel. They're so far away.
Yeah.
Which is absolutely amazing. But I think we digressed a little bit. Just a couple of theories in terms of the Fermi paradox, where we'll have seen some of these in terms of actually pop culture and movies and TV series. So the first one is the most obvious thing is we are alone. Yeah, that's one prediction from the Fermi paradox. That to me is really, really frightening, because that means that humankind and life on this earth is so incredibly precious that it needs to be preserved. And to me, that makes it even more important that we learn how to get off this rock and get to other rocks that we can live on.
Well, this rock ain't going to last forever, is it, at this rate?
Well, no, they reckon that the Earth will be swallowed by the sun in about 4 billion years. So,
get your
don't
skates on,
cash
guys.
in your money yet. But if we're going to end up being a long-lived society, if we don't destroy ourselves or get wiped out by a natural disaster before, then that is going to be a natural disaster that will kill us if we don't do something about it. And the only thing we can do is move. So at some point, humanity's going to have to avoid extinction, look at where we can live other than Earth. And the likely places are probably places like Europa.
So that films like Passengers comes to mind for that. Because you got all these people. We don't have stasis at the moment. We don't know how to operate an idea of freezing a human.
They have frozen a dog though, haven't they?
Yeah, but he did smell a bit afterwards, didn't he? How did he smell? Oh, terrible! Yeah.
No, that's how does a dog we know smell?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Anyway, but yeah, there's other stumbling blocks if they to do this.
Yeah.
I mean, they've only got to go to the movies to know what you need to do, but it's how to do it.
Well, I mean, the thing is, if you think about it, is as we move out there, I mean, the human biology is always going to change, because every time another generation is produced, that we have babies, there are minor differences in that DNA to the previous generation. And that's, Darwinism, that's natural selection, that's all of that sort of stuff. Yeah? So eventually, what we know as humans will not be human, because we have evolved from something else. We're Homo sapien in terms of the race that we are, whereas there'll be another at some point. Homo sapiens won't exist, and it will be something something else. So one of the things that we are now doing is doing genetic manipulation. So one of the possibilities for us to transplant to a different planet is, rather than convert the planet and terraform it in some sort of way, either by domes or whatever, is to actually change ourselves at a genetic level to be able to live on other planets. Is one of the things that, scientists are sort of like looking at, which then means that we actually become a different race, which then means actually the people who are now living on that planet, who have been genetically altered to be able to live on that planet, maybe tolerate a higher level of nitrogen in the atmosphere or something. Those people are now less human than what we are, as in normal humans that have not been altered. So does that make them alien at that point?
Well,
it's an interesting thought, isn't it?
Well, even in, you could be alien if you go to another country, so...
Yeah, but the alien that we're meaning is in like the science fiction sort of thing, not the cross-border sort of thing. So that's the first thing, is that we're alone. So in which case it makes it really vital that we actually preserve who we are, and that means we need to look out there and move to different planets. The next one is, are we the first to evolve? So maybe the thing is like, on Star Trek, on that one where it explained why everybody looks basically human on the Next Generation. Do you remember that episode? That was because there was an alien race that went all over the star system and left the DNA about, a bit like the engineers on Aliens.
Yeah, populated a bit.
Yeah. To
isn't that like Uncle Arthur in Only Fools and Horses in France, when they all had beards? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, maybe. But
sorry, go on, Karen.
But it's a thought that maybe actually we've just been really lucky on this planet, and we're the first planet to actually evolve life, and that life will appear in other places across the universe. So the next one is, life is very rare and separated by unimaginable distances, which is probably the one that's the most accurate, in my opinion. So that, like that thing of, you're 1 in 10 million.
Yeah.
Another one is, are we separated by time? So maybe we're not the only aliens to exist, but maybe the other aliens either existed in the past, in which case if we could find what planet they were on, we could find artifacts to prove that they lived. Or maybe we're the first in the series, so it links in back with the first theory. And then we get on to I love the title of this, neo-catastrophism. If you've ever heard of this. So this is, in other words, we don't see aliens because they always get reset by nature before they develop into a spacefaring race by some sort of natural disaster, like, for example, a star exploding, which will produce a large gamma ray burst, from a nearby star system, or an asteroid bombardment, or changes in tectonic plates which result in volcanic activity wiping them out, or some other thing, maybe even just their own technology destroying themselves by global warming. So that's another one. Another theory, which we've seen as a film, is technological isolation. So rather than travel to different places, maybe other life forms have created a form of virtual reality that is much more pleasing than the idea of life, and they just choose to live in a virtual world and not travel anywhere. A la the Matrix.
Yeah, but I think a lot of these have spawned from theories. I think have spawned from what they've picked up from movies, don't they? Do you think?
No, I think that these theories are what movies have picked up on. I think it's the other way around, to be honest. I think this is where science has fed into popular culture. Because, all of this, the Matrix sort of theory was there before The Matrix, the movie. And that was really the first time that we'd sort of saw that. So there's all of that. It could be that maybe life forms are just too violent to, and they end up killing each other before they actually exist as well. Or maybe and this is quite a depressing one, and one that we're probably more aware of as a society nowadays, is the whole idea of the sustainability solution, that the exponential growth of sentient life may result in the collapse of its civilization as they consume all the natural resources and end up, well, killing it themselves by their greed and avarice, as it were, for resources, which is quite possible. Or the other hypothesis is the zoo hypothesis, where aliens know that we're here but deliberately hide from us for some reason. Maybe they don't find... Maybe, you think about it, a society that is millions of years old, in theory, they should be so advanced that they would look down on us the way that we would look down on ants. Not literally in scale, but in terms of what an ant could bring to the table in a conversation would be about similar to what we could bring to a society like that.
Well, aliens could be tinier than us, couldn't they?
Well, it could be. There could be that whole thing of...
swallowed by a dog, and that's
swallowed by a dog.
You know where I'm going with that, didn't you?
I knew exactly where you were going with that. Another one, and I love this one, the von Neumann self-replicating probe theory.
Are we talking Paul here?
No, we're not talking porn here at all.
No, I said Paul, not porn.
Oh, sorry. It does sound like a porn thing, though, doesn't it?
Oh.
But basically, it would be relatively easy to fill the universe with self-replicating probes in 1 million or so years without the need for faster-than-light travel. So why hasn't anyone done it? And why haven't we found them? Which could be an indicator that they're not out there.
And we are alone.
Yeah, that we are alone.
Yeah, we're boring souls, aren't we, really?
Well, we don't know. You know, it's a thing, but I just think if we actually knew the answer to that question, don't you think it would have a lot of impact on people? Even if it was just the knowledge that we're alone and not they're not here.
Do you know what? Do you remember when we watched V, when that came out?
Yes.
And how that was perceived in the show, that these aliens come from nowhere and they're here to come in peace and all of that, and it was a big lie come halfway through the show.
Yeah, they're actually nicking all of our water.
Yeah, because they
were...
And
taking us for food.
They were lizards.
Yes.
But, again, you know, one way to perceive if ever we do get a proper close encounter of the third kind, if that was to ever happen, you know?
And that's what I mean by it would be so frightening to have an alien race just turn up on your doorstep.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what they look like. They could be cone heads or anything, couldn't they, really? Just
to be quite honest, they could turn up and it could be an alien race of Amazonian women and men who just wanted to be our sex slaves, and we would still be fearful as a species.
I think if it was like, was it First Planet? I can't remember what it's called now. Was it First Rock from the Sun?
First Rock from the Sun, yeah.
And they're a bunch of idiots, do you know what I mean? But they are still better off than we are as extraterrestrial beings.
Yes.
And they just blended in with society. So, you know, it's pretty amazing how you can perceive what could happen.
Mm.
We always assume it's going to be death from an invasion. This all goes back to H.G. Wells' War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
Where, why not it be peace? And, you know, but most movies that have done that, they all turn bad halfway through the film, don't they? So.
Yes, they do.
It's never the case.
But, I mean, you think about it. We only have to really, and also Stephen Hawking was worried about this because, you know, he published a paper on it, hadn't he, or spoken to someone or whatever, and, you know, newspaper or whatever, about warning about our desire as a species to find out that there are other aliens out there, because once that's found out, you can't undo it, you know, once everybody knows. But the other thing is, what happens, you know, when any more advanced species comes across a less advanced society? So the example, you know, all of Europe going across to America, what happened to the Native Americans? You know, that devastated their society. absolutely devastated their society. Would that happen with us? Or the fact that these are because the other argument is, if they're very technologically advanced as a civilization, maybe they've actually got over all of the all of the concerns that we have nowadays about aggression, because in order to be able to build spacecraft that can go from one star to another, they have to have had cooperation. So that, that might say that they're not going to do that. Or on the other hand, it might say, actually, the way that they've done that is by enslaving other races. And are we the next lot of slaves?
So we haven't got the technology to do this yet.
No.
We're so far off this.
But we have all of the, metals and stuff like that they might want. And also, don't forget, if they came here, we could be a fueling stop to just, get new slaves and get new resources to keep going. So always it is a possibility. Or maybe, for whatever reason, maybe where we are in the universe will have some tactical advantage to them or whatever.
Yeah, but I think we would be the inferior race.
Oh, yeah.
Probably.
Yeah. I mean, it's like Independence Day. I'm sorry, but I really don't believe that an F-16 could, fight, toe-to-toe with, an alien spacecraft. They'd have to be more advanced than that.
Well, when they have their shields up, you don't stand a dog's chance, do you?
No, exactly. But, the smaller ones, they had them, doing dogfights and that. I don't think they'd even need to bother, to be honest. I think they'd just wipe them out with whatever technology that they'd have.
Well, they would have some sort of death ray that would probably take everything out.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not saying it's like the Death Star or anything like that, or even like in War of the Worlds with the heat ray. But,
yeah.
I just think we're so. If we had to go toe to toe in an invasion, we would lose.
Yeah, it wouldn't be like Independence Day.
No, and whether or not it'd be like War of the Worlds, where if the aliens aren't substantial, haven't got the facilities and their chemistry to survive a cold or the common flu, then
being honest, yeah, fantastic way to end the book, but completely stupid. Because, let's face it, the one thing that they're going to do, if they're going to take over a planet, is make sure that there's no bacteria there that's going to kill them.
Well, they screwed up, didn't they?
Well, it's pretty standard. I can't see us, sending people.
It was a way for the book to end, because I think then we would win.
Yes.
Now, because of the minds of the time and who wrote the book, I think that was probably a fair play on how to end the book. Where you probably wouldn't do that. If that book was written now, it wouldn't be that ending. It'd be more involved.
Oh, it wouldn't be that ending at all.
No. But just due to the time that this Victorian time that this came out, was probably quite apt. That's the way that the aliens could not not the attack that we had on them with sort of flu and bacteria. Yeah, I think that's about right.
So, what about if we went out there and we found life? So, for example, think of...
I think at the moment...
Avatar. Think of Avatar. We come across a planet...
And we want their ore.
Sorry?
We want their... Not ores, but...
Well, wouldn't we? We would go to other planets to harvest what that planet can offer us.
Yes, that's right. That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah. So, and there's an alien race like there is on Avatar. Would we respect that alien race's sovereign right to those resources, or will we walk all over them?
That's a difficult question to answer, because it depends. Again, this would be down to the politicians.
Well, I think there's a more fundamental question in that before then. I think it would depend upon whether or not they could kick our backside or not. Because if they're more technologically advanced, we'd probably steer clear or try and negotiate.
Well, they were using bows and arrows, weren't they? Bless them. But
yeah, but if they were using bows and arrows and stuff like that, would we even consider it?
Well, no, only because if we need what they've got for our own consumption, then we'd still. It's like today, in this we still harvest trees, coal, ores to sustain our life here.
Yeah, but that's our planet.
Oh yeah, but it's still other governments to get involved because we're stepping on other people's toes, aren't we?
We are, but equally, it is our planet. So therefore, if it's our planet, it's all of, in theory, all of humanity's thing to do whatever with those resources, just like any other creature. But we don't have a right on another planet, or do we?
No, because we're the aliens then, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. But I think that it would be more... I certainly think it'd be very dangerous if we found aliens, when we do go out there, to say, that we would respect their sovereign right to their planet. I think that human psyche, if it doesn't change, would not try and negotiate or anything. I think we would sideline the aliens. I think there would still be, the objectors.
We would always have confrontation.
Yes.
Because of the way we are as a human race.
Yeah.
We still have confrontation on our own planet, let alone going anywhere else.
Well, yeah, exactly. It's just someone else for us to pick a fight with.
Yeah.
As a society. It's funny, isn't it? Because most people aren't like that, but governments are.
You think of wars in the past history for this planet. It doesn't matter where they are. They're all fueled by governments.
Or theology.
Yeah, and some are... They're all politically based. Even if we're going to go back to World War II with Hitler going out, storming into Russia, and we told them not to, which kicked off that.
Well, we fight over resources, ideology, or theology.
Yeah. Or you want to take over. You want that land to be a part of our land.
Yeah.
If we had the Argentina with what happened there, and there's Vietnam, which is probably a sore spot for the Americans. But you've had all these wars. It's the same thing. If we go out, if we ever go out in space, it'd be that again. Because
it will be.
We will never learn as a human race.
Do you think we'll never learn, or do you think it will take thousands of years?
It will either take thousands of years, or we won't exist anymore because we've been so pig-headed in doing it our way.
Do you think that we're closer to it now than we have been for many years?
We haven't got flying cars yet, so no, I don't think so.
No, what I mean is, going back to the 80s, I remember going back to the 80s, watching public service announcements that told you what to do in the event of a nuclear bomb, which was like hide under a table. Well, because that's going to protect me from a 1,000 megaton blast, Yeah,
if it's on top of you, you don't stand a dog's chance anyway. But
no, you'll evaporate.
The idea of what happened in the 80s was from the Cold War leading up to the idea of that nuclear bombs are out there and it could happen. Yeah,
but look at now. We have a US president where there is
the clown.
I wasn't going to say that, but we have a US president where a lot of people are very fearful of how he reacts to things, and also he should be banned from Twitter because warmongering is actually forbidden in the Twitter terms and conditions. And let's face it, threatening North Korea with nuclear war is probably, I would say, warmongering. In my dictionary, it certainly is anyway. But that's a different story. But the way he is, the way that Russia is, and all of that, and these are people who have got the fingers on the red button.
Look at Russia; they're on my doorstep at the moment in Salisbury with what happened there.
Yeah.
There's been a second attack, isn't there, of some sort, chemical, that we're not 100% sure where it's come from. I'm not going to start saying what I think it is because I don't know. But we have those sort of incidences going on still, when we should have those resources conserving the planet more than having a go at each other.
Yes.
If that's too cheesy a thing to think about, with all the wars and all the suffering that goes on this planet, if those resources are pulled together to look for the future of the planet, surely we'd have a better life and maybe a better start to go forward. That's probably a bit of my head thing to think about, really. But that's how I look at life at the minute and how things are, because it's just from us being alive, from the times that we've been around on this planet, and what we've seen, and for me in the last 50 years, Half a century, for Christ's sake. And it's nothing but grief through the whole time, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I think that as a society, we're much less tolerant. And to be honest, I do think that the internet has been a big part of that as well, because everybody thinks that they've got a God-given right, or whatever it is that they do or do not believe in, right, to voice whatever they like, however they like, whenever they like.
That's freedom of speech, though, isn't it?
It is, but that should be qualified, because if you're causing harm when it's unjust, that shouldn't be allowed, and it's not allowed anywhere.
No, well, look at that movie director that's just got the bullet for Guardians over his comments. It's just ridiculous. But going back on track with Aliens, though, it is a well, I don't know. I think my head would be as big as an alien to think about really what is there and what isn't there. It's still a thing that will put your mind into some confusion.
Well, just even imagining the universe, the fact that we can only see 4-something billion years in each direction, and there is more beyond that.
It's infinite.
Supposedly. The fact that when we actually look at the universe as well, the further back that we look, the further back in time we're looking. And the reason why we're looking back in time is because it's taken light that long to travel to get to us. When we look at the sun, we're looking at the sun 8 minutes ago. The sun could explode, we wouldn't know for 8 minutes. There's a thought. Because it takes light that long to travel to us. And that's supposed to be the fastest speed in the universe, according to Einstein's theory of relativity, which has nothing at all to do with brothers and cousins. But, yeah, I mean, going back to the original question, though, I think that there is, but whether or not we will ever know that, conclusively it's there or not is something that only scientists would really be able to tell. Personally, I believe that it is. It's interesting, actually. One of the things that, the TRAPPIST sort of planets and that, they reckon that there's a planet, one of them that will be possibly, compatible with human life or whatever, or similar sort of circumstances to us. But we're just one form of life. There might be life on other planets that we're looking at that we don't even see because we don't recognise it to be life.
No, that's right, because that life could be smaller than us in comparison.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else. Sorry, go on.
Or it could be the other way, where it's well over the top and we are not mindful enough to know what that information is.
Yeah, exactly. So, whether or not we'll ever know, I don't know. I don't think it'll ever be like Star Trek, ever. I can't see it.
Well, that's where the world has come together, and there's no wars. Everything is peaceful to a certain degree, and the Earth is all as one.
Yeah, but that's also been out there and, warping from planet to planet, and that's what I'm meaning, that, there are millions of planets out there that would probably be able to support life. Whether or not we can walk without breathing apparatus on them or whatever is one question, but also I don't think that humanity will ever get to that point because the distances are unimaginable. If it takes 4 years to get to, 4 or 5 years to get to the nearest star for light, and it takes light 1 second to get to the moon from Earth, doesn't that give you an idea of how far away that is? But it takes man, the better part of a week to get to the moon.
Yeah.
It's unimaginable, the distances. You're talking about trillions of miles. So, it'd be, take more petrol than probably what the Earth's got if you were driving a car that far.
You'd run out of fuel.
Yeah, exactly. So, and also if you had a solar powered car, that wouldn't do much good because there's not a lot of bright light out there when you get between star systems, that's too far away. But, it's, it blows your mind thinking about it. Absolutely blows your mind about, what's out there. It's just TV, science fiction and that, it doesn't doesn't portray it in a real sense, I don't think. Unless, of course, we suddenly find a brand new form of propulsion that will get us to places, like Star Trek does.
Yeah.
But how many millions of years, thousands of years is that away?
Oh, who knows? Who knows?
Yeah.
I think this question is a bit infinite, really. But if I go back to when we started off and you was talking about this,
yeah,
you've never really said. Do you actually think we're alone or not?
Yeah, no, I don't think we're alone. I don't think we're alone at all. Whether or not we will ever discover other life, no, I'm not 100% sure that we will. Interestingly, I think what we might do is we might think we have, without proving it, might identify where life is, or most common types of places that will be highly likely to harbour life that we have. And that's by, as you know, the scientists are identifying exoplanets now, and they do that by a number of different options. One is to see the dimming of a star as a planet passes by, obviously, orbiting around it. Obviously, that implies that the planet is going on edge to the Earth, so that we can actually see it orbiting. Which means it's highly unlikely. But the other thing is by looking at the wobble of a star, because while we maintain we orbit the sun, the Earth and the sun actually orbit each other. It's just that the centre of gravity is so close to the centre of the sun that it basically is in effect that we orbit the sun, but we're actually orbiting each other. And even the Earth, how small that is in comparison to the sun, makes our star wobble a little bit. And that's how things like the TRAPPIST planets are being identified, by looking at a star's wobble. And, the mathematicians and scientists can work out the size and mass and whatever of a planet, and then they know where to look. Then as telescope technology improves, they can then start to observe the light that's coming from them. And if they can identify the light that is from a specific planet, by looking at the colours of that light, they can then identify what chemical elements are in the planet's atmosphere. And we could potentially say, actually, that's got a high level of carbon dioxide in terms of that. That is fitting with 20th century technology. So maybe in that atmosphere, or maybe on that planet, there is actually a society that is as advanced as 20th century. Or they might identify methane, which might indicate the fact that, methane is a byproduct of carbon-based life forms. So therefore, is it, it might be that there is actually, aliens on that planet by that. It's interesting, isn't it? The fact that, you can learn a lot about a planet without actually ever having to go there. And they've tested this on various, already on, different things, like planets in our solar system where we know a lot about the planets, to actually do that. To test the hypothesis, as it were, and it works. So it's, it is a way that we might find that there's where the aliens are, but they're 400 light years away and we're never going to reach them, which would be quite depressing then, wouldn't it, really? And you couldn't send a message because you'd have to wait 800 years at least, because it's going to take 400 years for the message to get there. Then they're going to have to decode it. Then they're going to have to figure out how to send a message back and then send it back, which will take another 400 years. So, will we ever know? Probably not. I mean, even, our best, more stronger signals are only about 100 light years out now.
And we're probably short of 50 yards of the ones for the first being, so...
Yeah.
Until you get that distance in there.
They're more likely, if they're at about the level of sophistication that we are, they're more likely to know that we exist before we know that they exist. Which is interesting. The other thing we haven't mentioned is, of course, what about the face on Mars?
Just pure coincidence,
It could be just the angular trick of the light, but it could also be...
It's like the moon. The moon's got a skull on it, if you look carefully.
Yeah. Well, also, Pluto's got Mickey Mouse on it as well, if you look carefully.
Exactly. It depends on your brain and how you perceive the image.
Yeah, but you have to admit that picture from the spacecraft does look like a face chiselled out of the face of Mars.
Yeah.
Which is interesting. I mean, maybe it is there as a thing of come here or whatever. But it's one of the conspiracy theories is about the reason, going back to the Apollo stuff, is rather than it being a battle of theology, and Russia went bankrupt, so therefore America didn't need to try as hard. One of the theories is that we did meet aliens up there and they told us not to come back. That's another conspiracy theory. And also, there's also been various different things, pictures of structures taken on the moon that is indicating that there might be things on the moon that are not man-made and not natural.
Crazy.
So there you go. Loads of conspiracy theories out there if you want to watch and research them.
Well, there's loads of those if you want it, really, but...
Yes, definitely is.
So, okay. Any more you want to say on the subject? Because
no,
it could be all night otherwise.
Yes, I could wax lyrical on this, but I won't.
Yeah, because a lot of them might have fallen asleep by now.
Hey guys, you wanted it, and it was the overriding one.
To be honest,
as well.
they voted for it on Facebook.
Yeah, just remember, be careful what you wish for. You might get it.
Oh, God,
so anyway, if anyone's got any other thoughts, just let us know on a Facebook group or tweet us on Twitter at Pop Culture Gamer.
Yep, we'll pick that one up.
Yep, indeed. Shall we go on to the questions?
Yeah, shall I give this code out before I forget it?
Go on then. He's been dying to give this code out.
Well, if I don't do it, then I say it's been a bit of a split because I have advertised the fact that we're going to give a code out. So I did want to make sure we did this.
And please let us know that you've used the code so that we know it's gone. Because if it hasn't gone, I can really rib Steve about it.
And next week, Haydn's going to give away Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs code from his collection.
I doubt it, 'cause I haven't got this.
So, for this code, what you've got to do, you've got to go to sonypictures.com/UV redeem, because this is via the ultraviolet setup. I'm going to read this as phonetically as I can remember, so bear with me. There's not many here. So, the code is 38 Delta Kilo, and it's... Do you know what? I've forgotten what E for... I'm going to say E for
Echo.
Elephant, A for Echo, R for Romeo, B for Bravo, P for Peter, Victor...
Papa.
Oh, yeah. P for Peter, I do. So shut up. I'm doing it. It's not you. Victor Yellow 9 Papa, and then F635, or F for Freddy 635. I'll read the code again my way, and then we don't get it wrong, or we get it right, as the case may be. So
He never sent it to me because I know the phonetic alphabet. I could have done it just like that.
yeah, I know, but I can't be asked for that. So I would, if I do it the English way, 38 DK ER BP VY 9P F635, and it lasts until the 31st of the 12th, 2019. But if someone wants to take it, please do. I've got a couple more of those actually somewhere, but
Has to be redeemed before then, doesn't it?
yes, they do. If you look on most of these DVDs at the moment,
Yeah, they never used to have an end date, did they? The Apple ones always did, but not the UV ones. But they've started putting expiry dates on now.
it's the same with that Flix. Was it Flixmaster or something? I can't remember that site now.
Flixster.
Flixster, yeah, that still exists, doesn't it?
No, Flixster is the UV because
is
can recall if you've got a UV collection, you can watch your UV collection through Flixster. You just link it to your Flixster account.
Yeah, so many ways of watching digital movies these days. It's quite unreal, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I got The Shape of Water the other day, and it was a Google Play code.
Oh, okay.
Suddenly, I seem to have all of a sudden got all of these different Google Play codes in my system because they were, just suddenly gone that way.
I think Google ones you can play through YouTube.
Well, it comes up, doesn't it, as purchased when you're actually using them.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, I think because I was lot long ago. I was on the YouTube app on the TV.
Yeah.
I went to the film section, and it's got ones that I own, and I've got 3 or 4 films there that were done via other means in that scenario.
Yeah, well, I've got 5 on there because Independence Day Resurgence, that code was a Google Play one, as was The Martian and The Shape of Water. But before that, I also had Moulin Rouge and Gulliver's Travels, which I got from Pringles crisps.
Oh, okay.
Collecting the tops.
What we do to get movies, eh?
Well, to be honest, my wife had just already got them, so I thought, oh, well, I might as well just cash in the code.
Yeah,
as well.
I did the Sky one where if you bought like the Malteser packets or the Nestle packets.
Oh yeah.
If you I think the sweets were like £1 for a packet.
Yeah.
So you get 4 of the codes off them, and then you can redeem that to redeem a film on Sky.
Yes.
But you can only do it once, so you can't keep buying the sweets and redeeming more. You can only do it you get one shot at it per account.
I think that's wrong. You should do it as many times as you want to.
Yeah.
I mean, certainly the Google, the Pringles ones, if you just ate loads of Pringles, other than being as fat as a house, you'd also have a load of movies you could watch while you couldn't get off the sofa as well.
You couldn't move because you'd be there for life, wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly. You'd be eaten into the chair.
Yeah. So I got my Blade Runner HD turned up the other day.
I can't believe you didn't buy that HD straight off.
No, because the Blu-ray's pretty cool. It up-reses pretty well, to be honest. But this is probably one of my most bought movies, amongst some others as well.
Yeah, it is mine as well, to be honest.
Because behind me, I've still got the HD DVD box set for Blade Runner.
I've got the one with 5 different copies on it.
That's it. That's the one I've got. But I've got the HDVD version of it.
Yeah.
And I got it from the States, and it comes with the case with the Harrison Ford would have carried his Voight-Con machine in it. Yeah. And it comes with the unicorn, a cell, a book, bits and pieces like that.
Very nice.
So, yeah, but it's on display behind me. But, yeah.
And we've both got the Blu-ray of the original one as well, haven't we, with the vehicle, the police car.
The 30th anniversary came with the spinner.
Yeah.
So I've got 2 spinners now. Sitting on my behind me there. Yeah, so that was 4 versions of the film, I think. Or is it still 5? I can't remember now.
And 5 versions, isn't it?
I think so, yeah. And I did have the VHS copy, which that snapped over time. And the DVD I gave to someone else.
Yeah.
I think I had more than one VHS copy because I think I bought it in different formats, so it came out on widescreen as well.
Yep, did exactly the same thing.
So I bought all of those. I mean, I've done that for Star Wars and a few other movies as well over the years. But I've still got my DVDs for Star Wars though. I've got loads of those sitting in the drawer. But
yeah, so have I.
But we're terrible for it. We're suckers, aren't we?
Well, it's like now I've got Terminator 2 on DVD, on HD, on HD Blu-ray in a set, and now the 4K version as well. Yeah,
I've got 2 other versions of it, which are one's Blu-ray, which is the metal tin.
Yeah,
with the Skynet on it. Then I've got the other set, which is a double DVD, which has got the branching effect for DVD, so you get to see the different versions of the film.
Yeah.
Which I think was a great idea at the time for DVD.
Yeah.
You could then go in a hidden menu, and then you could pick out a different version of that film with that branch added into the film or taken out.
Yeah, definitely good.
Yeah. They were the days of looking for Easter eggs. I don't do it anymore now. To you? I don't.
No, to be honest, nowadays I just watch the film because I just don't have the time to go through all of the special features and that. I'm not bothered if they stick them on there anymore, to be honest. I used to love that sort of stuff, but I think it was after I got the Lord of the Rings extended edition, which had like the bonus content was longer than the film, and the film was like 3.5 hours long each one.
Oh God, yeah, I've got some big, huge box set of the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, so have I.
I don't know how many discs it's got in there, but I don't think I've opened up in time, to be honest.
And a matter of fact, one of the things because I've got Lord of the Rings on DVD and Blu-ray.
Oh, really? You
Standard and special editions.
I did
on
throw
both.
Yeah.
And, or extended rather. And to be honest, I've been looking, I've been thinking, I need to clear out some space. So I've been looking at all of the stuff where I've like got the DVD and the Blu-ray and thinking, I'm never going to play the DVD again.
Well, some DVDs actually look better than the Blu-rays sometimes, especially when they try and do a remaster that goes completely wrong.
Yeah.
Because you get that grainy effect.
I'm still seriously considering just chucking my, or not chucking, but taking to CEX or whatever, which is virtually the same because I'll get nothing for them.
20p each or something.
Yeah. But I've got a lot of films like that, like the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man collection.
Okay.
So I've got that on Blu-ray, and I've got it on DVD. Why have it on both?
Yeah, actually, some box sets are hard to come by though. For if you want like a Blu-ray box set, they seem to have gone up in price, and they're a bit hard to track down.
Well, I've got the Blu-ray box set, so I don't need the individual DVDs.
No, it's like I was looking actually for I was looking for a Dexter box set the other day, but just looking on eBay to see what there is. And I know the one I would like, which is the one which is it's like in a the cells for when you examine blood. Yeah. It comes like that because I don't know if you remember Dexter, what he used to do, he used to collect the blood cells, put them on a glass, and he used to hide them in the air conditioning unit. And he had this little case with them all in there.
Right.
So the box set, the Blu-ray box set is actually the similar sort of box he used, but it's got all the discs in it.
Okay.
So, and that I don't know when that ever came out, but there's a few of those kicking around, but they're a bit not cheap, to say the least.
Yeah.
Unless you start buying the series as in individual seasons. So
yeah, that'd be expensive though. It's an expensive way of getting them.
It is. It's like, funnily enough though, even though I had Heroes season 1 on HD DVD, then I only had season 2 of Heroes on Blu-ray. Well, I've just bid it on eBay for £12, and I've now got the whole box set for the 4 seasons coming in next week.
Very cool. Very cool.
That's not bad for £12, is it?
No, that's not bad at all. To be honest, I never think about looking on eBay for discs, to be honest.
Just have a little browse. I've just been doing it a lot recently. I'm picking up a bit of vinyl here and there. I've got my 7-inch of the Superman picture disc coming soon as well. Yeah. Which I got for literally next to nothing. But yeah, there's people that have got their, say like you, they've got like some Blu-ray box sets that they want to just get rid of, that are in good condition, and they're asking for next to nothing sometimes.
Well, I know they're going to get next to nothing, so £12 will probably be more than they would have got from sets anyway.
Exactly. So for me, I always enjoyed that box set as a TV show. Yeah. So just to have it in a collection on Blu-ray would be class. So that's so that's good to get all 4 seasons in one hit.
One of the ones actually, it's only available on DVD that I do want to get is Monkey from the 80s. Do you remember that?
Well, yeah, because it's so old that I don't think they ever decided to throw it out there, did they?
No, they didn't. It's available on a box set on DVD, but not on Blu-ray.
Oh, isn't it?
No. So
if I go back to eBay and just type in Monkey, and I'm going to type in Blu-ray out of curiosity.
It's $28.88, which is cheaper than Amazon.
I can't see. Actually, I didn't write in the TV show, Monkey TV show, because obviously you've got 12 monkeys, for example, that pop up. Yeah. So all I've got is T-shirts for Monkey.
No, definitely not T-shirts.
No, that's all I can see. And Blu-ray is not. Oh, then what we got there? No, that's just it's just Monkey, as in all different types of.
There you go. Have a look at the link I just sent you.
So if I go DVD,
so it's in the entire season, all seasons of that TV show, which was it Chinese, wasn't it?
Chinese, Japanese, probably. Oh, okay. So that's not a bad price, is it?
No, not for all of those episodes.
No.
And to be honest, I know it's a type of thing my son would love as well. You know, it's something I could share with him from my childhood, as it were.
And you see, I always double check where it's coming from. It's from the United Kingdom anyway, so it's pretty good to that price that's a bargain, really, isn't it?
For all that content, yeah.
Because there isn't probably too. Actually, do you know what? There's something else there that's just. I'm waffling here, but do you remember the water margin?
Yeah.
There you go. Got is that the DVD of that for £32? There you go. Look, it just says, "What do you if you like so and so?" The water margin was great, and that was again very similar, as in it was dubbed, but it was based on the Samurai Warriors. So if you've ever not seen that, check that one out.
I'll check it out, definitely.
But we digress. So should we go to questions?
Yep, let's go to questions.
John, what's happening to us?
Okay, so while I go to your picture, I'm trying to pick that up.
Shall I ask Mark's first question?
So...
Or do you want... Have you found it?
Just one sec. Okay, so... Which alien from any game or movie would you make the best lodger?
I'll let you answer that one first.
I know, it's going to be Paul, isn't it?
That would be the funniest one, I would have thought.
Because he'd be happy there with Marmite and bagels.
Yeah, definitely. No, he would be quite cool. I think to have as your lodger.
Yeah, I don't think anyone else could beat that one, to be honest, unless you can come up with something. Can you think of anyone else?
Yes, I can. Ilea from Star Trek: The Motion Picture. She was Delton.
Yeah, and that is on record.
Well, that was a society that just solved everything by sex, so that should be quite good fun.
Exactly, yeah. They were grinning from ear to ear on that one.
Yeah, she's Delton, Captain. Yes, calm down.
Yeah. And
I have taken a vow of celibacy. Oh, there it goes. All of the blokes gone, drat.
Yeah, and everything, it's gone up to down again.
Yeah. That was quite funny, actually, to be honest on that.
So number 2, so do you want to read that one?
Okay, so Mark's second question is, which would you choose to fight alongside... Oh, sorry. Yeah, which would you choose to fight alongside you in a battle to save Earth?
And I presume that's an alien race he's talking about.
I presume so. I assume so.
An alien race. Would you want someone that's intelligent or just someone that's just hard-nosed that would do the job?
It's an interesting question, isn't it? Definitely an interesting question, because you would want someone who wouldn't try and do you over. So I wouldn't want the Romulans.
You wouldn't want them to blow their own smoke too often, would you?
No, but you wouldn't want the Romulans, for example.
Because they'd pull a fast one back on you and stab you in the back. Yeah,
because you'll think, well, hey, we've won, and then they'd come up your flank and kill you. Who were, matron. And then, I don't know, you wouldn't want the Galactic Empire from Star Wars because, well, let's face it, they can't hit a barn at 0 feet.
No, they have to use a big spaceship to do that.
Do you know, somebody actually worked out what percentage of hits stormtroopers actually did based on the number of shots fired in Star Wars and that, and the number of deaths as a result?
Obviously, yeah. Someone must have had a lot of time on their hands.
No, I didn't have that long. No, so not me, really. I'm only joking. But someone actually did. Someone actually did do that, evidently, but it wasn't me. Despite the fact that you obviously thought it was.
Yeah.
I'm not quite that sad. Not quite. Nearly.
Some people might think so.
Yes. My wife particularly, I think. But no, I wouldn't have been bothered about that. But yeah, evidently someone actually worked it out, and surprisingly it was a higher percentage than you actually thought, because what you got to remember is on A New Hope, where there were, like hitting the Millennium Falcon on, the mandibles and stuff like that, instead of actually hitting Han and Luke and Leia running onto the ship, is because they were told that they had to miss because they wanted them to escape to go to Yavin 4. So there you go. Maybe the Stormtroopers might not have been the one, but to be honest, I'm going to go with this. I'm going to say the Klingons in terms of his question, because let's face it, they're hard-nosed warriors, they're honourable, and, I think they'd be who you'd want on your side, because you certainly wouldn't want to go against them, because you'd be gutted, literally.
Yeah, maybe. If this was a big race war, as in you need an alien race to do this, and not just a band of mercenaries.
Yeah.
Like the Guardians of the Galaxy, for example.
Yeah.
Which they probably could do it on their own anyway, I should imagine. I'm sure they'd find a way.
I'm sure they would.
I think the Thelosians would be quite interesting.
Yeah, but by the time that they've done the web to capture anything which wouldn't be able to escape, let's face it, the other aliens would have wiped out the Earth and we'd have been destroyed.
Now, they'd have been there before that. Or even, if not the Thelosians, or how about...
the Borg.
Yeah, they would probably... I don't know if I could trust them.
As long as you weren't going up against Species 8472.
Or you want someone that can play mind tricks on the other alien race that's fighting you.
Yep.
So you could have the Telosians. Is it Telosians from Talos?
The Thelosians.
Thelosians, thank you. Yeah, is that right? Because they would think they would be they'd be fighting themselves or something. They could do that.
Well, they could just make him imagine and press the self-destruct button instead of the fire button.
Yeah, true. Anyway.
So there's some thoughts for you, folks. So shall we move on to the Facebook questions then?
Okay, so I'll start with Alan Cochran. He says here, if we get back to normality on these questions, do you think Xbox Game Pass is value for money? It's only $7.99 for 3 months at the moment.
Yes.
I think it is very good value at the moment.
I do. There's a lot of games on there. Some of them you'll want to play, some of them that you won't. But I think it's definitely well worth the money. In terms of, because I've subscribed to it, and what's even better is I got 6 months for £23.99 off Amazon. So it's actually only costing me the equivalent of 3 months instead of 6 for that amount of time. So that's going to cover me for like Forza and stuff like that. Because I always end up shelling out for Forza and then play it for a couple of days and then that's it. And, it just goes to one side and occasionally dig it out. Whereas with this, I can get that out of my system, as it were, because everybody's talking about it and I can look at it and then I can move on. Plus the fact there are other games in there which are really quite good. You've got City Skylines if you want something a little bit more chilling in terms of the resource management kind of thing. You've also got other things in there that you might want to, play like Bomber Commander and, things like that. Some of the more indie games. There's been a couple of indie games on there that I've actually quite enjoyed, but it's funny. You take me back 2 years ago, I used to hate indie games. Now I seem to play them more than, the big budgets, but I think that's because some of them are actually better. A game doesn't necessarily have to be lots of FMV and, exciting graphics. A basic, if it's got strong gameplay, that's all that you need. So, I think there's a lot of games in there well worth the money.
Oh yeah, I do. Okay, would you like to do the next question?
Yep. So, thanks for leaving me with this one. Craig Cole asks why one of our other listeners, Nikki Wilson, is not very good at games.
I like the way you said that.
Because it's certainly not the way it's wrote. So first off, can we not have assassination of fellow listeners on here? And
no.
And secondly, because he's got a rubbish gamer score.
I don't even know what Nicky's score is, to be honest.
Oh, don't you? Because he'd put in comments about how he's actually the best gamer in there. So I kind of just had to maybe mention the fact that he doesn't have the highest gamer score.
Well, he obviously won't, because yours is well above most anyway.
But Nicky has a very respectable 78,400 gamer score, so well done.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, nothing wrong with that at all. And in
mine's
a few years...
Mine's only a bit further than that, to be honest.
And in a few years, you'll soon be at my 215,400 gamer score there, Nicky.
You see, I think Nicky's a hard worker, and he doesn't get to play his games as much as some people do.
Maybe so, but I'm a hard worker as well, because I've got 3 jobs. I'm a chair of governors. I'm also a director of maths, so there you go.
But you get more time off than most. That's all I'm going to say on that.
I work 37 hours a week.
Yeah, but it's
basic,
government,
and then all of my other stuff.
Yeah, government bases, you get more holiday than I do.
I get 30 days a year.
Yeah, I don't even get that.
Yeah, well.
So, anyway.
Get a job in the government, mate. There you go. No. Sorted.
If you sick days instead, yeah.
Sick days, don't talk to me about sick days. I hate it when people actually misuse sick days.
They do. I think they should reward you for sick days. If you
not having them.
Yeah, I think they should do. Yeah. I've gone a year without sick before. And one of our older companies that we were a part of used to give you a voucher for that, for doing it. Mm. Do you know what I mean? But anyway.
Well, I mean, to be honest, in the last year, I've had quite a lot of sick leave off, but that's just more because of the circumstances. But before that, I think I'd had like 7-8 days off in 4 years. And to be honest, 5 of those days was because I had a abscess in my mouth, and I couldn't sleep because of the pain, and the dentist wouldn't do anything until the infection had gone, and the infection wouldn't go, and I was in absolute agony. I was to the point of I had tweezers in my hand, pliers in my hand, and I was going to pull the blooming tooth out just to get rid of it because I was in so much pain with it. But then my wife said, "Don't be so stupid," and I realised what I was doing, but I just didn't know what I was doing. I hadn't slept or anything. It's awful. But anyway.
Okay, so we go back to Craig Cole's decent question. He's saying, Alien or Aliens, which do you prefer and why?
That's like, which do you prefer, Star Wars, or A New Hope or The Empire Strikes Back, isn't it? Do you like the one that kicked it off or the one that was actually the good film?
Well, I think they're great films in their own individual rights, but my favourite is more Alien because I prefer the atmosphere it gives. It's the atmosphere and the way that whole film comes across in space for me.
Do you know what? I would completely and wholeheartedly agree with you there as well. Much prefer Alien to Aliens. Although I love both of them.
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, Aliens is a great action movie.
Yeah.
But the way that film, that would say the series started and how they did that, it's very clever. Because that was about 1979 when that came out.
God, was it?
Yeah, I think it was 79. Yeah, I might be wrong. It's a long time ago.
Definitely. Absolutely, definitely.
Now, who's next? Michael Edwards. You want to do that one?
Yeah, Michael's asking us, do we listen to any non-gaming related podcasts?
You start while I get my podcast browser open.
Well, funnily enough, I've just opening mine as well. And the answer is yes, I do. In a matter of fact, I don't listen to gaming podcasts anymore.
I do listen to a couple.
No, I don't, because to be honest, most of the ones, and as a matter of fact, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this podcast is because I just don't like the whole, over the top sort of way that they seem to aim it at like 18 to 25-year-olds. Do you know what I mean? In terms of a lot of podcasts, so, and the overinflated egos and stuff like that, and I just can't be bothered with it. I do listen to one, and it's not so much a gaming podcast nowadays, but I listen to Midlife Gamer. So hello, Darren and Matthew, thank you for years of enjoyment with that show. Yeah,
that's on my list as well.
Yeah, that's the only one that I listen to in terms of gaming, but what I do listen to is Star Talk, which is Neil deGrasse Tyson talking about, with other people about science and whatever. The Infinite Monkey Cage, which is Brian Cox and Robin Ince. Click, the BBC radio Click.
Yeah, I watched the TV version of that.
Yeah. I did used to listen to Lost in Sci-Fi, but they don't seem to have done anything recently. Not that I can remember anyway. And the Sci-Fi Movie Podcast. And also We're Alive, when that was on, which was a dramatisation about the Earth being taken over by zombies. So those are the podcasts that I've got on my saved list, as it were.
Okay, so I've got one which is called the Jerry Anderson Podcast, which is very obvious what that is. And Jerry Anderson's son's Jamie's. They've only just started out. It's only a couple of shows. I think I've got one to watch it. But they've got about 3 shows out at the moment. So that's a very new type of show. But if you like Jerry Anderson and stuff like that, that's all good to listen to. I've got a few film ones. So obviously there's Kermode and Mayo's film review, which is what's part of the 5 Live. And I've got Wrong Reel, which is all sorts of movies. That's up to about 400 episodes.
Yeah.
So that's well worth a listen to. Also, another one which is fairly new, and I've been sort of putting them in the tweets a bit on Twitter, is the Film 89 podcast.
Yeah, I've been thinking about listening to that, to be honest.
And they're up to 12 episodes at the minute, so they've not been going too long, but they do have some nice chat, and they do put it for specific types of movies. So, for example, episode 1 is about The Last Jedi. They've got one on John Carpenter's The Thing and all of that. These sort of last about 2 hours long, 1 hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I'd highly recommend the last one they did, which was talking about 10 years of The Dark Knight.
That would be good.
Goes over the three movies.
And that's Film 89, did you say? I might just...
Yeah, the Film 89 podcast.
Might put those down for a listen then.
Yeah. There's something I've got which is, gaming, obviously, there's the Fallout show, Gamertag Radio and IGN and stuff like that, and Fireteam for Destiny and that. There's something I've got something that we say now for something completely different. Now, I've got something called Covert. Have you heard of this one?
No.
So, this is true stories, and they sort of do a twist by trying to do like a dramatisation of it. And this is on, for example, I'll give you the first episode. It traces the origins of Osama bin Laden and the people who went to task to find him.
Okay.
And they talk it's like a documentary into a radio podcast, but then dramatised more like if you were watching a TV show.
Yeah.
And it's very well put together. There's about 3 parts to that, which go on to his capture.
Mm-hmm.
And they talk to people that were involved in these, the way the podcast is put together. You've got interviews for people that were dealing with the actual thing at the time. So at the moment, we're up to a hostage rescue in Tebbe as well at the moment, in Tel Aviv and Paris, where we had the 248 passengers on that plane. If you remember that, that was back in 1976.
Yeah.
But it's really something pretty cool, something really completely different to listen to. Check it out. I quite like it. It's that sort of stuff does interest me. Other than that, there's a few other. Oh yeah, and the last one I got to mention, of course, is the Empire Film Podcast.
Right.
They're very good, and they do some great little specials. They've done one for Ridley Scott. They had an interview with Roger Moore, which I would recommend if you like Roger Moore. They did one just before he passed away, and it was a great interview with him. And some of the things he comes out with is quite amazing, actually. But yeah, that's a few of the ones I've been getting involved in.
Oh, very good.
So, okay, so is it my turn next?
Yep.
So Paul Wilson says, which baddies could you interchange with for characters using the very similar outfits and used in the original film? So perhaps you said swap Khan in Star Trek 2 for Darth Vader and vice versa, and both using the same original lines that Khan used or Vader used.
Oh. Yeah, because it's... sorry, I've already posted half of the thing because it's gone wrong, Gromit.
Don't worry about it.
So E.G. Khan using Vader, being a baddie using Khan's lines in Star Trek 2. P.S. I'm just sitting on the toilet after a 10-hour flight back from Mexico plus 2 hours drive from catering and the food shop. So if my question makes no sense, it's jet lag. So obviously that added nothing at all to the question, but did give a little amusing anecdote. So
I don't know. I couldn't think of any off the top of my head.
People who you could swap around.
Yeah.
I don't know. You could swap the Empire for the Romulans, couldn't you?
They'd still lose.
Well, that's what I mean. Yeah, but that would be one.
Mm.
I don't know. It's so hard because I just can't think. Well, I just can't think outside the box in that sort of respect. I mean, what I would love to see is more Khan, in terms of Star Trek, but maybe in his own show, that would be quite cool.
The Khan show.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I don't know.
Come on, Paramount. This TV program comes in cards, not in can'ts.
Well, we've had Khan obviously as in the reboot.
Yes.
Benedict
Cumberbatch.
Yeah. So we did have that, which was a bit of a lame effort, but it was okay. But
actually, I've got that one to watch because I've got that on HD DVD.
Not HD DVD, you mean 4K?
Sorry, yes, no, but 4K, and not 4K HD DVD. I meant Blu-ray, UHD.
That's it. Yeah. Could you swap any baddies in any movies? So, for example, if Bruce Willis was in the Nakatomi Tower again, who could you take out? Was it Hans Gruber? Was it Hans Gruber? No, Hans Gruber was in the third one, wasn't it? I can remember. Could you swap one of those baddies and put someone else in there instead?
Blofeld.
He'd be carrying his cat everywhere, wouldn't he?
Yeah.
Okay, do you want to do the last question?
Okay, so this is Nikki. What movie is this from? So, what we'll be calling on is a good old-fashioned blunt force trauma, horsepower, heavy duty, cast iron, pile driving punches that will have to hurt so much that they'll rattle his ancestors. Every time you hit him with a shot, it's got to feel like he tried kissing an express train. Yeah, let's start building some hurting bombs. I know what film it's from.
Go on then, tell me.
No, you have to guess.
Do I?
Yeah.
It's too late. I'm hot and sweaty in this little room with no windows open. It's about to explode. Come on.
No, come on. Have a guess by that description of what there. Because I got this as soon as I saw it. The clues in what's said there.
The hurting bombs sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But I can't think.
Well, what would you use blunt force trauma on? Horsepower, heavy duty, cast iron, pile driving punches that will hurt so much.
Will it be the Terminator or something?
No, the Terminator.
Well, it would give you force trauma for doing that.
It's Rocky Balboa, man.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, it's from the Rocky movies. I'm sure it is Rocky Balboa as well. But, yeah, so hopefully we've passed your test. Well, I've passed your test there, Nicky.
Yeah,
Steve clearly has not.
But I was defending him earlier, so I think we win both ways.
Yeah, well, I was defending him earlier as well. I said he's got a very respectable gamer score.
Yeah.
71,000. Not a lot of people have that.
Yeah, probably people have under that as well. So anyway.
Yeah, there are a lot of people with under that.
I think we should call it a night because I'm about to burst in this room. It's just so hot.
Yes. Yeah, I feel like this is a sweat locker rather than anything else.
It is. I feel like I'm Steve McQueen in the cooler. In the Great Escape. The only thing I haven't got is a ball to hit against the wall, but there you go. Anyway. So, thanks for that, everybody. I hope that Aliens didn't get too deep for you and you enjoyed it. But as I say, you did choose it, so...
Yeah, you got what you asked for.
You did, yes. So, we'll see what comes up next week and something completely different, as they say, hopefully.
Yeah, well, next week we're hoping to do... We're hoping to do the 101s next week?
Oh, yeah, possibly, yeah.
Yeah, so, like I said last week, or rather on part 1 of the show, we're looking at doing some Room 101s. So either give us what you want to put in Room 101, together with a reason of why, or even better, do us an audio recording, just in MP3 format, of what it is that you want to go in Room 101 and why, and then Steve and I will debate it. And if we can get 4 of those in, then what we'll do is we'll do that. If it doesn't look like we're going to get that, then we'll stick out something about what the options are for the next discussion, our big debate. Okay, so you're going to do your pleasantries?
Okay, so you can find me at Twitter at Steve007, PSN ID, The Real Steve007, Xbox, Steve007, email, steve007@popculturegamers.co.uk, and yours, Hayden?
Mine are YouTube channel, Haydn Reese Jones, Twitter is at HERJUK, PSN, Xbox, Steam, HERJUK. Email is herjuk@popculturegamers.co.uk. If you want to send in your audio recording, then please drop it either in by email or at least drop a link to a Dropbox shared file to podcast@popculturegamers.co.uk. And also don't forget our website, which is popculturegamers.podbean.com. And the Facebook group as well, actually. Forgot that.
Don't. Slap on the wrist.
Slap on the wrist. So we also have a Facebook group. Please come along and join.
Okay,
and also, sorry, I've just had a thought, actually. But we've had sorry, I know that you're dying to get away now, aren't you? We've also had a few people who have been giving us iTunes reviews. So thank you very much to all of you who've actually given us an iTunes review. And if you want to leave a review, please do so as well. You can leave that on most platforms.
Are we there now?
Yeah, I'm not going to say any more.
You know what's going on in my just next door in my room at the moment, so it's.
I don't want to know what's going on next door in your room at the moment.
Anyway, so it's a good night from me,
and it's a good night from him.
Good night.
Good night.
You are about to witness history in the making.